Yeah.
Rabbit hole of retro awesomeness.
They've been doing video games. I sent it to myself.
You were just going to send it to yourself
Oh,
again?
oh, I did. Well, it's because your messages on Slack don't pop up like when you send it to yourself.
Oh, I've seen this. Okay.
Hello, Mr. Jeremy.
You need that laptop?
I realized that after I got here.
Holy shit, Skype actually stayed where I put it. Look, there's no board.
It's lulling you into a false sense of security, mate.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You don't like it?
I don't think we need another laptop in the shot. Got too many. Too many.
We can hide that Ethernet.
How will they know it's about computers then?
He doesn't
More
make a good point.
laptops.
I don't hear anyone.
You don't?
We're not talking to you.
It sounded like you were having a lively conversation.
Yeah, and then you put your earphones on.
Wow.
All right. Josh isn't online. Gonna run away for a minute.
Where's Josh?
Josh, where art thou, Josh?
Oh, Amazon, your deals are shite.
Must be talking about the Canadian one.
Yep.
Tisk.
I guess I'm not logged in either. That might help.
No thanks. When you get a chance, can you turn down my volume on the headphone amp? The headphone amp going to me. I don't know which port it is, but it's super loud.
Crank it up.
There you go.
Good.
Nice. Yep.
Hello, Mr. Josh.
Hello. This was like the best day ever on Twitter.
Yeah.
Honest to God. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time.
Oh, what have I been ignoring today?
Laughing at people being surprised by the obvious.
Which obvious is this?
Kanye,
Yeah, I mean-
Kanye red pill, and it was the greatest thing ever. I mean, the explosion on both sides was impressive.
Totally missed it.
Well, that's not a working shot, is it?
Oh man, it was awesome.
Roll thirds.
Which batch of insane people was it?
Yes.
Oh, it's the entire spectrum of insane people.
Oh, lovely.
What about the
It's
clown
great. They all
posse?
pile
Were
up.
they in it?
No, they kept a low profile. Shockingly.
Did BattleTech actually come out, Jeremy, or is it like a beta
yeah.
early access thing?
Oh no, it's fully out.
I will
I
have
haven't
to.
downloaded the NVIDIA driver yet, so I'm probably not experiencing it.
God, you're not game ready.
Sorry.
Somebody was overheating in
I
950
was.
Pro.
NVIDIA wasn't.
Fair. If you just download, if you just downloaded that handy GeForce Experience app and registered with all of your personal information, I'm sure they'd be happy to keep your driver updated.
I was going to use yours, Ken.
Yeah.
That's some funny shit.
All right, let's see what we got here. This thing plugged in.
What you got? Put your body in your tucking in the hall.
Oh, that's for the power. Then where's the? Oh, it's USB.
There's
It's
another
regular USB now.
I can share my screen. I can browse the web. I can view documents together. I can start a presentation.
What are you?
Are you using a Chromebook?
No, it's the new updated Skype, letting me know all the fun things I can do if I hit the plus button.
You updated Skype right before the podcast?
You don't have a
I
choice
listen to
anymore.
Nancy Reagan.
Oh,
Really?
Live dangerously.
lovely.
They decided to take that away from you.
Yeah.
Wasn't there going to be a Skype for media creators or something coming out?
They've announced that it's going to exist.
No, because they've discontinued most Skypes and replaced it with Teams, and we're waiting to see what the consumer side will be. But
No, they announced this like
their
2 or 3
BRP
weeks
brand.
ago.
we'll see.
Come on,
Yeah,
you piece of
we
crap
will.
laptop.
Not be surprised if it never came out.
I wouldn't be.
Whoops, that is not the right hotkey. Control.
Just not the worst friggin' thing ever.
Yeah. The wrong way.
Yeah.
That's good.
No HDR, but that doesn't really matter because nothing. Oh, well, that does HDR. There you go.
You can't see my skin, which, I mean, you know,
Couldn't actually see you.
I am translucent, so.
Wait a minute.
Yes. You have
Damn
the
it-
wrong show
Damn
notes
it,
open.
Docs. That said, Google Docs said that was the most recent document, and of course,
Of course, it was
it wasn't the most
full of
recent
crap,
document.
as you might say.
Yeah, you might say. Docs.google.com.
Wait, why is this stream on?
All right, now it's. Wait.
That's not the right interface. That interface never works properly. Go to
Yeah.
drive.google.com.
Ken, do you need a spray tan fun?
Yeah. Obviously.
So, Jeremy, you're saying that BattleTech can be a little bit tenuous at times?
Well, and as I'm just typing out bio here, I mean, if you've ever played the tabletop game, it's not fast.
No.
I mean, once you've even got initiative done, you're rolling to hit. You're rolling for hit locations. You're rolling versus armor on some of those various hit locations that have special things. You're then rolling for penetration and damage. Oh, look, you've got a critical. Okay, is that in a location that's storing ammo? And is there going to be a secondary explosion? And you know, and then you've got to mark it all down, of course, on your sheet. So one single mech fires, and 5 minutes later, you know what's happened. So, you know, coming from that, yeah, I can see that a lot of people are going to say this is insanely slow. I've only put about an hour and a bit into it, and it's like, okay, 4 mechs versus 4 mechs, and yeah, I can feel how it's a bit slow, and
Hey, I'll
20
be right
missions
back,
down the
'cause I've
road,
gotta
it's like
see
all
what
the
dogs are barking
ammunition.
at.
Bark, bark, what?
He's out to let the dogs out.
But you know, 20 battles in, I can totally see. I just disable the animations and just get the results because it was pretty for a while and now it's just repetitive.
Did Ryan
So we'll see.
already do the ad read?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Well, at least you can bypass those animation sequences.
Yeah. I mean, XCOM did that too, and I turned them off pretty damn quick. Ooh, look at the ranger running and jumping up a wall. It's exciting.
Running, jumping, climbing up trees.
Oh.
Just explain to me why my 95% chance to hit with a gun up the guy's nostril friggin' missed.
I had a pick of the week and I forgot what it was.
Way to go.
Stay good. Stay good. I'm going to podcast.
Arf.
Podcast?
What?
Podcast?
Podcast. My dogs are barking.
Just saying walk.
Barking.
Fine, of pick of the week, Alan.
I was looking for it, and then. Damn it.
Thinking about what I want.
Tell us what you want.
Make it up as you go along.
Really, really want.
I always remember how good a pick it was.
Would you ever think to yourself, oh man, I had a really mediocre pick this week, but I
Like
forgot
no,
it.
like I remember no. If that's the
Constantly.
case, then I'm just like crap. I got to find a pick. But now I'm pissed off because like I had one. And it was like I have this perfect memory of in that moment, like man, that'll be a really good pick of the week. Sort of like, yeah, I'll hide that $1 million somewhere I can find it easily.
Let me know when you find it.
Right, right.
You know, $1 million is not a small volume of mass to hide away.
Well, it does if it's Bitcoin on a USB key.
Good point.
Oh, so you mean $1 million? Oh wait, 800,000. Oh wait, 500,000.
Oh wait, $3.
1.2.
Wait, 16 million. Nope.
Yeah. If you buried $1 million of Bitcoin, it would be worth significantly less now.
Unless that USB drive was, you know, not waterproof. Then it's worthless for a different reason.
Yeah, it's contact drive savers.
Oh, there you go, Al. You could do that one.
Those guys are good.
Did they let you replace?
If you got
Did they let you do data recovery?
the hell no.
No, they
I
did not
want
let me do data
Mm.
recovery.
Weird.
copy and paste. You
Weird.
stupid friggin' browser.
But I didn't throw my name around as if I needed to do data recovery. I just toured their facility and went on my happy way.
I mean, you don't know what happened. You don't know if that was the case or not.
Were you there, Ken? Do you know what the situation was?
No, but he wasn't either. So
The
You guys aren't planting bugs on each other yet?
no.
Strange.
I do hand it to him. Like he goes in places like with a plan. Got that from that Louis Rossmann guy. He did a video after Linus. Remember when Linus, the Rossmann guy, said, "Don't put your fucking thing in a toaster oven."
No.
The Rossmann guy, the guy that fixes.
yeah, I know who you're talking
Macs
about. I
in
just
New
don't know
York,
the
right?
video you're talking about.
Like after Linus went there and shot that video, like Rossmann like did his own videos because he had his own content he was doing, and it just came up in discussion. Like he just was like went on like a 20-minute thing about like that he appreciated the guy because he walked in there, he knew what he was doing, he knew he needed this shot, that shot, whatever. Like he had the plan, like you know.
Certainly a professional.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Unlike us.
Nope.
Let Linus in the clean room with his flip flops,
I don't know. Maybe they made him put booties over him.
just over his bare feet. I have 2 private messages.
Sorry, I just need to add this AMD article to the rundown.
Amd. I'm so crude and rude.
Are you lewd?
Are you socially unacceptable?
Yes.
Well, that was the accessory that
Wow.
wasn't working.
Your keyboard? Does it even not work? It's 3 pins.
It's a really good question.
You gonna like start this podcast at some point?
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
No.
Well, now, Wirecast is saying.
Okay.
Not it.
Not it.
No, it's it. You're it.
You're on call. Got pager duty.
You're in the hot seat. You have the football.
I am so sick of being on pager duty. So much.
You have the football, as we said on the submarine. It would be whichever division has the shit that's broken that's stopping us from going out to sea. That's like they have the football. That means none of them are sleeping for the next like 4 days. And we get to walk by and like, you know.
That's not very nice.
Until at one point we have the football, and then like it's just kind of understood that we'll get our payback at some point.
Doom, 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 doom.
Did you figure it over there?
It's showing yellow on the output, but it's working fine. Looks like.
Where's the ass on this thing so I can kick it?
Kick it real good.
Yeah, it's just saying the connection's degraded, but
it's working
it's
on
connected,
both.
not airing.
I think that is an error. Connection is degraded. Not anything you can do about. I'm live on the YouTubes.
The YouTubes.
Yeah.
What?
In the butt.
What?
Oh.
Little
Yeah, we're live
Archer
both places.
reference there.
Yep.
I think that,
home charge.
I think that comes back tonight. I think I saw someone on Twitter saying it was coming back.
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming back
premiered
on.
tonight. I forget what the shtick is.
The dream
for this
sequence
season.
is over.
They're on Danger Island.
Yeah, that's right.
They're on. Have you seen the advertisements all over the place?
I
haven't even watched Archer in like several seasons, but man, I've definitely seen my share of those.
don't watch TV, so I don't really see those types of advertisements anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, someone's saying YouTube's being a little bit lagged.
Yeah, but nothing we can do about it.
Nope, not really. We are recording and we will post it tomorrow.
Hi ho, hi ho. Off to work we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
You're calling a hoe.
I'm calling you a hoe.
Okay.
All right. I think we're good on this end, and at least as good as we're going to get.
Don't worry. Alan's not ready, so.
I got my pick.
Dare you?
What? It ain't me.
He says hunch hunch.
What?
I don't even know what that video is supposed to be saying.
Nobody knows. That's
Yeah.
the best thing.
The YouTube comments are just arguments about it, I think. Weird, huh?
Go figure.
Arguments in the YouTube comments.
All right, ready now? Alex?
I believe so. I got a couple people saying YouTube's just being completely stupid.
Maybe they should use Twitch. That's my professional opinion.
Because we're not set to live, obviously.
I made sure I did that today.
True. Also, the audio-only stream has no lag. If you so
lag.
feel inclined. And you don't have to look at our sorry sacks.
Sorry,
There's
sex.
sacks of water and flesh.
Scheiter.
Ugly sacks of water, mostly water and flesh. Ugly bags of mostly water. That's what it was.
So yes, to answer your earlier question.
Okay. What number is it? Oh. Damn, we're almost at 500.
Almost.
Will you be here?
Yes.
2nd, 9th.
No one
The
but Alex
16th.
will be.
I should be here in 3 weeks from now, yes. 90, yeah.
I need to look at my calendar. Might have to disappear.
It'll be just you, Ken.
My greatest fear.
All right.
Ken and Jim show.
Are we ready? Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode number 497, being recorded April 25th, 2018. I'm Alan Malventano.
Why is it always me? It's never me. It's like Jeremy. You screwed it up. But I'm Josh Walworth still.
And playing the part of Josh Walworth is Jeremy Hellstrom.
Now I'm Melvin. No, I'm
No,
Ken Edison.
no. What?
You guys switch, and it just screws me
I was
up.
last. Alan Malventano's last.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
It's in the script, damn it.
Yeah.
All I
you
ever
gotta
wanted
follow-
was a
The
lower
guy
30.
didn't
and
update the
is
cue
that so
cards
much
over
to
here.
ask for?
Anyway. Yeah. So PCPer.com/podcast is where you can find our podcast show notes from this show and other shows. Well, this show isn't like posted there quite yet, but we'll get there. Twitter.com/PCPer. Brian is, I don't know. He's doing some
Somewhere
stuff
with
somewhere.
some stuff and some people.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is the next? That's not it. There we go.
Get it together, Alan.
I'm working on it. Mailing list. Spam list. I get no spam. All those things. If you go to PCPer.com/subscribe, you give us your name, your email address, we'll let you know before the show. Like Ken did earlier.
It's probably still going out. I sent it a bit late.
Oh.
It takes a lot of time to send mass email,
emails.
as it turns out. Get like rate limited and stuff.
Yeah.
BS.
Try not to trigger spam filters and stuff. Patreon.com/PCPer is where you can, help us keep the lights on and stuff. What's like the next tier thing? Like we're doing mailbags. What was the?
I don't know if we committed to anything or not. Just give us money and we'll do wonderful things, right?
Not quite sure, but
But what he said.
there's always that.
There's always that.
Keep the
Still
lights
thought it
and the
was Josh
fiber
taking the
on.
bathrobe off.
Oh, God.
It's
We
nice.
should put that on a t-shirt.
Do
We
you want
should.
more Josh Tech?
Yes.
Someone
Sales
Photoshop
risk.
a mug into his hand, though.
Josh Tech with a Josh Tech mug.
Mailbag number 40 happened, a little while back. Ryan recorded
420.
one.
Plays it.
Yeah, recorded on 420. Ken's working there in the background, just behind. He's watching porn.
No?
Ken
Maybe.
can neither confirm nor deny.
I have the right to not further incriminate myself.
Yes, exactly. He pleads the fifth. There's a lot
Pay
of that
no
going on.
attention to the lotion bottle.
No, that's on Ryan's desk.
Yeah, that's
actually.
on Ryan's desk. Yeah, it's right
He's
there
got the bottle of
on the
Jergens.
corner of Ryan's
Yeah.
desk.
See
Shared
it right
lotion
there.
does not make it better.
Jerkins? Did you just say a bottle of Jerkins?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
A bottle of Jerkins. Oh, no, sorry. It's pronounced gherkin.
Yeah.
Well, so one
That
part
would
of
also
it
be
is.
weird, though.
For the longest time, I didn't sit at that desk next to Ryan's, and then the bottle was there right next to the wipes we use to clean off heat sinks and stuff.
To clean off what?
So it was the Jerkins.
That's hardcore. Right
Jerkins
there.
and the alcohol wipes next to each other. No, it's kind of like I just kind of
Is that
chuckled.
like icy hot?
I guess that's what it does. I don't know.
That's for the masochist of the family.
Yeah, it's too much information. What is the short? Oh yeah, JoshTech.com.
Yeah. 2Ks.
It gets you to our merch store, where you can get. I need to order one of these shirts. I mean,
Me too.
yeah, and the mug, maybe even the print.
I drink my coffee out of that mug every morning. It makes me a little happy.
Josh, how
To
many of
start
those
the day
things
off.
have you ordered?
I've not ordered any. It's been a rough year with medical bills for my kid, and my wife took a job that pays less, and so budgeting is challenging.
So that's
but I'm thinking next week.
patreon.com/PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the royalty checks aren't flowing because people aren't buying enough merchandise.
Got to buy more merch. But also have to, I have to write more articles.
Yeah.
I should do enough work to get paid.
You got an article in here.
One.
Snuck it in.
I'm gonna have another before the end of this month.
Yeah.
No, actually, probably I'll do Intel as well. So, 2 more. Gotta get paid.
Get on that 470.
Yeah.
Okay.
470.
Well, what else do we got? I guess we'll just get in the reviews then. Reviews. Wait a minute. Did you not have a Ryzen review?
We talked about it last week. Remember, we did the pre-record thing and inserted it right into the middle.
But what there was not a pre-recorded thing of last week, and that we couldn't talk about live on the podcast last week because it was before the NDA, was I took a look at some of the storage performance of the Ryzen X470 platform.
Stinking time.
What? I've
only been waiting a year for you to check out NVMe performance between AMD and Intel.
We did another article on that like a freaking year ago.
Whatever. No, it was crap.
Well, it was crap.
Doesn't mean you didn't do it.
That one. I've been waiting a year for it.
There were charts and latency percentile and everything in that other article.
Whatever.
Anyway,
you used a J Micron drive.
No, I didn't. I don't even have any of those that work anymore.
Weird.
Anyway, yeah. So NVMe RAID on a X470 platform versus a Z270 because that's what I happen to have information already for, ready to go. So
I don't know. It's 200 less though.
It is 200 less, and the whole X's and the Z's thing is really starting to confuse me with these motherboards and the fact that they're also using blank 70 now. Like, what the hell, AMD? Yeah. Seriously. Anyway, decided to take a closer look at storage performance than like running your typical cheesy benchmarks. Specifically, we wanted to pay attention to low Q depth random activity. And if you, in this chart, it's kind of hard to tell just looking at IOPS, but if you look at the numbers at the bottom there, you can see that the X470 platform ended up running like it's like anywhere between 20 and 40% lower IOPS. These are the same exact SSDs, just moved between the two platforms. They were actually conditioned exactly the same. Like we didn't even, all the tests we did for this article were read-only, meaning that we were not changing the condition state of the SSDs at all. So all we did was just create arrays without initializing them, just using the fast init feature of whichever the platform was, and just doing the test. So lower IOPS at low Q depths. I had someone email me today, I was talking to Ken about earlier, that they tried the same SSD on a AMD platform versus an Intel platform for an NVMe SSD, and they emailed because they saw this article and they were like, hey, I couldn't put my finger on it until now. I saw your article. I'm getting this also between the 370, Z370 and an X470 platform. So I don't know exactly what the issue is, because I don't think this person was using the RAID driver, but there will be slowdowns. I'm still poking around with it, trying to figure out what the cause is. If you look at the latency, it becomes a little more clear. So we're using 960 Pros. 960 Pros have a typical read latency of around 60 microseconds. What you could tell right there on the blue line is basically riding straight across at 60, but it only does that on the Intel platform. As soon as you switch over to AMD, you lose between 10 and 15 microseconds. And this is with the SSD connected directly to the CPU on the AMD platform. So that's solid red line. And then if you want to do RAID on the AMD platform, it works differently than Intel. Intel has the RST driver, but really it actually has hardware support within the chipset. You know, so they can boot from the array and everything. Intel's been doing that for quite a long time and has had plenty of time to optimize it. This is one of the first NVMe RAID things we're seeing on AMD. And you have to install this, RAID expert software that also installs a thing called a bottom driver. And it's a weird name, but the bottom driver replaces the Windows NVMe inbox driver for those devices. So the devices disappear from your like disk management. And the only way to use them at that point is to use the RAID expert software. It'll see the drives via that bottom driver, and then you can make your array, and then that shows up.
Was there any reason why they used their own bottom driver for that?
Well, they don't have the hardware support in the chipset that Intel has. Right? So with Intel, you switch your BIOS to RAID mode, you initialize the array, you do all that like within the option ROM. Now, AMD has stuff like that also, but for it to work on the Windows side, you have to, like if you create the array before you install Windows, you have to do your whole F6 driver style thing. It's not F6
Intel
anymore.
RAID's the same way? You have to do an F6 driver?
It's been built in for forever.
No, it's built in for forever now.
It's been built in since like the X58 or something, like RST.
Yeah.
It's been in there for
I mean,
forever.
assuming you're on Windows 7 or more modern.
So they have the new device IDs for the platforms that don't exist?
What do you mean?
It's Intel.
I mean, it's come in Windows updates, and maybe at some point the bottom driver will just be added to Windows so that you can do an install.
It might not use the most optimal driver, but it sounds like the drivers that are included on the install are compatible or forward compatible enough for it to work.
Yeah. So like with Intel RST, the array is the device, and the array underneath the device is presented to the OS just as a single device. With AMD, the BIOS is able to get those devices together enough to be able to boot. But when you switch over into protected mode, Windows is talking to the drives individually with the driver running on, like, in the kernel side. So it's like, it's more of a software RAID than what the Intel RAID is. And probably because
that's cool for consumer stuff and enthusiast stuff, but God, I'd hate to try and roll that out. Like try and make a business case for that in a large deployment.
Rolling it out might be tricky. Rolling out the Intel side stuff is tricky too. You still have to, do stuff. You still have to configure stuff before you set it up. But yeah, you would need that driver like installed in your image. All those precautions you would have to take if you had any kind of, aftermarket storage controller or whatever. That's not really such a big deal. What is more of a big deal, though, is that the latency via the driver and via the AMD RAID, basically now you're comparing the two dashed lines. So you have this blue dashed line down here, which is what happens when you take two drives and you put them in an array on Intel. And you can tell that helps the drives stay much closer to their minimum latency possible. Versus on AMD, you're going from 60 to, what's the actual number? 60 to 91 at QDepth1 random reads. 60 to 91 microseconds. So, that's like a 50% increase in latency. That puts it, SATA devices run, between 80 and 100-ish. So you're basically taking NVMe devices and you're pushing them into SATA territory as far as latency go.
Hey, Alan, can you tell me what's wrong with this graph?
Higher is better.
Oh, I was supposed to fix that. Lower is better.
Dang it. Not IOPS either.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not IOPS. It's supposed to be latency. It says latency at the top.
And lower is better.
Yeah, I'll fix that chart. Dang it. Okay, so latency might not be the best deal. However, AMD does have a significant advantage in that, hey, all your NVMe parts are connected straight to the CPU versus on an Intel system where on the Z370, Z270 platforms, like all your M.2 slots are typically going through the chipset. Chipset's bottlenecked by DMI. That's only 4 lanes of PCI Express. So the Intel, no matter what you do, no matter how many drives you put in the array on the Intel side, at least on this platform, you're just saturating at like 3.5 gig per second. AMD platform obviously can scale way higher once you add that second drive. We saw as high as 7 gig per second, which is, the number you would expect. What I don't expect to happen is for that plot line to fall off at higher Q depths. And That's not usually what happens for sequentials. Usually for sequentials, the drive hits some maximum and it just stays there. It doesn't matter how many requests ahead you issue it. It just keeps going at full speed.
So is it Swamp doing prediction, or
I don't know what it's doing, but it did it. It did it even with one drive. Notice that finer dashed line there. That's just a single drive configured as a JBOD, just so that the drive can be seen by Windows. Just the single SSD. Basically, as soon as it was passing through the driver, that's literally the only difference, is that there was a driver installed with this one drive being tested versus the single drive connected directly. So it looks like the driver is doing some sort of prefetching or caching, and it's actually helping it with the low Q depth sequentials, and it goes faster earlier, but it does this weird fall off, which I don't know. It's abnormal. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be slow for you, because if you do file copies in Windows, typically the Q depth is bouncing between 1 and 8 anyway. So it's still going to go fast. It's just an odd performance trait. Anyway, that's it for the RAID stuff. Now there's another thing that's sort of like RAID, but not. It's called StoreMI. This is AMD's solution to Intel's RST caching.
I thought it was Stormy.
Stormy? No.
it's got to be Stormy?
It's got to be Stormy.
It's Stormy.
Stormy, not Stormy Daniels, but Stormy.
No, that's why. That's why you should say StoreMI. Anyway,
No.
it's capital M and a capital I.
Stands for machine intelligence. Duh. I mean, obviously, tiered storage and machine intelligence just go hand in hand.
So this is a separate driver level thing that can. It's actually kind of tricky the way it works. It's able to take. Usually, when you create a RAID of most types, like you kind of have to start clean. Usually, sometimes you can migrate, but that gets tricky and things can go south and whatnot. There's a caching solution, but it works more like what was Apple's name in there?
Fusion Drive.
Fusion Drive?
Mm.
Yeah. So Fusion Drive on Apple worked very much the same way as this, where it was able to, like on Apple, they were file aware, and they can say, well, I want these files on the solid state, and I want these other bulk files like on the hard drive. This is less OS aware. It is just a block level implementation of this. So you can start either way. You can have your OS on a hard drive. You can have your OS on an SSD. Either starting point. But then you can add either, if you're on the slow thing, you can add a fast thing. And if you're on the fast thing, you can add a slow thing. So if you have your OS on an SSD, add a hard drive, or vice versa. Install this software package, point it at the correct things. It just kind of like has a simple menu that you step through when you first run it. And it adds the storage of the other thing to the drive. So, what I mean is not just the caching tier, but it adds the capacity of it. Because instead of caching things that are frequently read, this solution will move those blocks of data to the faster thing. So if you're playing a game and you've launched it a couple of times already, chances are all of the blocks of data, this is block level, not file level, all of those blocks are already sitting on the SSD the next time you launch it, so you're basically launching the game, and it launches roughly as fast as it did, as if it was sitting on an SSD. Those 20 other Steam games that you haven't played in like the past 6 months that you've downloaded, Josh, but haven't touched, they're just be sitting, those blocks will have moved off of the SSD and onto the hard disk. So
that actually distributes the data to both drives.
Yeah, it starts off with whatever thing you initially had your OS installed on. It kind of virtualizes that volume and turns it into something that it can shift blocks around from. And then it's able to, via its driver, it's able to like kind of seamlessly shuffle them back and forth. It's kind of tricky the way it works. It has a weird, like a UEFI like layer that it adds to the boot drive so that it can still continue to boot. Because if you think about it, some parts of Windows might be sitting on the other storage device,
right?
Which would mean Windows couldn't even boot. if it didn't know how to talk to that stuff. So the UEFI, you know, these are the kinds of things UEFI lets you do, right? Like you can get more creative and have more code sitting on a drive to load things early. UEFI is the thing that would have let Fusion IO drives boot. But that's like 10 years too late. Anyway. So we toyed around with it.
Incorporating the old AMD RAM disk thing.
It also has It also has a RAM disk layer. They say they're still working on this, they're still optimizing it, they're still making it better and faster and whatnot. I did some quick tests. I didn't notice a big difference when I turned on the RAM disk. You can take up to 2 gig of RAM and you basically flip a software switch and now all of a sudden you have another RAM cache layer on top of the SSD cache on top of the hard drive.
That sort of makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You know, it was relatively painless. But the catch is you have to realize it's block layer and it's moving the blocks. So it's not like, you know, if your cache drive fails, well, you can just unplug your cache drive and just like boot off the hard drive. Not the case here. This is, if either one of these drives goes away, you're pretty much restoring from a backup.
RAID 0 with benefits.
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to have, you know, some of your blocks of data are now gone, meaning that there's probably a Swiss cheese of a file system remaining on the opposite device.
Yeah.
Like, you could have just chunks of the master file table just not there because they're on the other thing. And
you might want a UPS.
Yeah.
If you're incorporating that 2 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea. I think the RAM is just used as a cache.
Okay.
Like just a cache only. And like, you know, I don't think it puts things there and leaves them without them going to the storage.
You know what the 3 worst words you can tell a system administrator is?
What's that?
Possible data corruption.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I was kind of beating it up and it, you know, nothing seemed to corrupt on me, but I mean, I definitely...
bet that they've got a caching mechanism on the most robust drive that duplicates the data it's putting on the faster ones.
Josh, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Is a read through or a write through second layer?
No, you mean it just goes to the tier.
It's not even a write through.
Clones.
It's not even through. It just writes. But in my experience, like if you went to install something, it seemed like it was writing it to the hard drive. So it seems like when you're adding files to it, I think it goes straight through to the slow tier. Maybe there's some threshold where it would kick over and try to write to the fast tier instead. But as soon as you go to run that application, the first time, now it has to read some of it back from the hard disk because that's where it went. But then that's kind of like what its learning seemed to be, is how often you are accessing things. So it keeps track of that at the block layer. And then, you know, you launch a game once or twice and chances are, you know, the second time it was running like full speed or almost full speed. The third time it was pretty much just SSD speed. Take a little bit away because you have another layer everything's going through, just similar to that bottom driver thing. You know, so the latencies aren't going to be bare metal latencies, but it was reasonably quick.
It's a nice turnkey operation, too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, was there a specific platform or was it specifically
it's
X470?
Free on X470. The Fuse Drive Basic for AMD users is $20 on the other Ryzen platforms, and there's a more advanced one, 40, I think.
Yeah, and I think initially it was supposed to only be like oh, this is a place where they have kind of the advantage over Intel. Intel's, if you're using the old school RST caching, you're limited to 60 gig. Maybe they're going to change that limit, but that's limit's been that way for like 10 years now or something crazy like that. The limit here was 256 when we started testing, and they upped it to 512. So if you take a 512 gig SSD, you can add it to your hard disk, and then basically the next time you reboot your OS, most of the blocks are going to move over to the SSD, assuming you started on the hard disk, and then, you know, pretty much your system will just run SSD speed most of the time. You know, and then all your big stuff will just seamlessly shuffle off to the hard disk. So, I mean, it's good. I mean, I like the idea. I like that you're adding what acts like caching, but it's actually just adding capacity as well, right? You could take a 512 gig, you could take like a 960 or 970 Pro or something and put a 12 terabyte hard drive alongside it. Now you just got a huge, huge volume.
I've got a huge what?
Got a huge volume. Yeah.
I heard it's the motion of the actuator arms.
I see.
Multiple actuator arms.
You guys are so boring.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Josh.
All right. Next up, Corsair K95 RGB Platinum.
Wait. Refresh the page.
How did I skip? What page am I refreshing?
There should be an AMD Q4 article sitting there from Josh.
Well, my show notes.
Josh.
Jersh.
Jared.
Google, what happened to
Cheers,
the
Jake.
auto refresh?
I just refreshed the show notes.
Nope. Sorry. That's my bad.
There's no article.
Okay, well, I need a link so I can go to the article.
All eyes.
Yeah, it's fine. We're on the K95.
You don't like me very much, do you?
Here, dang it.
Yeah, it's probably the top story on PC.
Let me just go to the
if I had to
website.
guess.
Let me just go to the website. Here you go.
could do that.
All right, Josh.
Click on an ad while you're on there.
AMD.
Yeah. Where's our PC per merch?
pay for
button
Josh's shirt.
on the front?
Do we have a PC per
No,
merch button?
we don't.
Oh,
Not yet.
we need a piece of merch button. Anyway,
Because I need my merch.
AMD announces Q4 2018 results.
It sure did. No, Q1 2018.
Well, why does it say Q4?
What is this, NVIDIA?
Because I screwed up. I asked Jeremy or somebody to edit this.
I just read the article, mate. Your headlines suck. I never read them.
All right. At least this time it's not my fault.
Well, it could be your fault.
Fine. It's my fault.
It's their Q1 2018. You know what? Regardless of how I screwed up the title and how the editors screwed up everything that I screwed up, everybody was expecting AMD to do well this quarter because we knew that they had multiple new products coming out. We've had some strength in the GPU market. Zen has been selling well with Ryzen. We had the Ryzen APUs, the Ryzen with Vega being released as well. We've had their first Ryzen mobile parts that were hitting the market. And so they thought that AMD would have a good quarter. Well, it turns out they had a far stronger quarter than people expected. And so instead of about the $1.57 billion that people were expecting them to make, they made $1.65 billion, which is a pretty significant chunk of change in their pockets. The greatest strength, of course, is their compute and GPU, compute and graphics sector, which made up, I believe, $1.18 billion. And the rest came from the enterprise, semi-custom, and embedded group. It was a good quarter for them. It was, again, no real surprise, but people were surprised nonetheless that it was as good as it was. They made something like $81 million in net income. That's far better than the losses that they have seen throughout the past, I'd say, decade. If you look at the Q1 2017, they earned $1.18 billion, and going up year to year to 1.65 is simply massive. AMD is currently firing on all cylinders. On the CPU side, they could be doing better on the GPU side, but other areas that is looking at the enterprise, embedded, and semi-custom, their royalties from a lot of the consoles are going down. It kind of looks like when we talk earnings that those ventures are more front-loaded in terms of money than later on, where the royalties are just kind of slowly slipping in, and as console sales go down, so do royalties. These were partially offset by the EPYC processors and platforms that AMD is selling to partners such as Dell EMC, Cray, a couple others that have announced products on it. And certainly this isn't a huge amount of volume for them. I mean, Intel absolutely rules the roost in this area, but AMD is hoping to claw back, kind of the mid single digit range, 5 to 8%. They're hoping to get in this very lucrative market with their EPYC processors. So they're starting to get those out, and there's a lot of excitement around those. The Ryzen 2000 series was just released. They started shipping them in the end of Q1 for the desktop, and of course the Ryzen with Vega was introduced earlier in the quarter, and those have been positive. And again, the mobile parts. It was interesting that AMD said that cryptocurrency and blockchain type applications were about 10% of the quarter's revenue, which is not small. I mean, if you figure it's an extra 165 million added to the bottom line, that's a pretty good chunk of change. They don't expect sales to fall off nearly as much as we saw a couple of years back when the original Bitcoin kind of dropped in the market and was nearly worthless, and everybody started selling their used graphics card on the secondary market. We have many more options, and this is, AMD is claiming this, that the infrastructure and the amount of products that they can compute on GPUs is far larger than what we saw in the past. And so people are more willing to hold on to their cards and use it for different products to mine, rather than just dumping them on the secondary market and, flooding eBay with cheap, well-used cards. AMD's not expecting that, but we'll see what actually happens. They really have their CPU market and their product development going really, really well. So we've got Zen Plus this year. Next year, around this same time, we're going to see Zen 2. Intel is it looks like they've got signs of life, and they're going to start being more aggressive. But hopefully, AMD is able to keep the pedal to the metal and continue to produce competitive products at decent prices. And we'll see how that goes. But for now, they're kind of sitting pretty. The other interesting news is they have received 1.7 I believe they said they received 1.7 nanometer test chip or chips from TSMC. The assumption here, due to what Lisa was kind of caught saying in the presentation they gave on Q1 2018, is that this is a Vega-based part. And later on, they're going to see an EPYC-based part, and it's probably going to be based on the Global Foundry 7 nanometer. So we're probably not going to see this 7 nanometer Vega part be produced in mass numbers because it's not aimed at gaming. They previously had talked about that this is going to be more compute. They're going to aim for that. It's probably going to be more of a pipe cleaner type design to go through 7 nanometer to help work out the kinks of a brand new high performance process. And later in the year, we're going to have the EPYC, and we probably won't see, I believe it's called Navi parts until 2019. So there are some rumors around that they may have a Vega Polaris at 12 nanometer. But I doubt it. I think that they're going to do all their energies to making sure that 2019 is going to have a much better GPU product stack than we've seen. It's not that their product stack is bad. It's just not competitive in terms of power. So overall, AMD had a great quarter. They're building upon it. They're gaining some market share in the desktop and mobile. They're gaining market share, it looks like, in the server because they've been absent from there since the last generation of Opteron that simply was just not competitive with Intel's latest Xeon products. So, any questions you guys had or observations you'd like to make?
Wow.
Are you all on mute?
We need a Cricket soundboard.
I would just say, wow, this is an amazing turnaround that I hope isn't a blip in a quarter, and it doesn't look like it will be because, like you said, EPYC hasn't really rolled out yet. So hopefully we'll see a bit more on their enterprise side, and
they're expecting Q2 to be even better than this, about 1.715, 1.725 billion.
I mean,
plus
Cube
or minus
2 gets you
50
into
million.
back to school.
It's going to be
which will
good
be
times.
big.
Yeah.
Wee bit of
back to
competition
school
is good for
early
the soul.
Q3, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll at least have another, next quarter should be good as well.
Yep.
Quarter 5. Because the article's
I don't
quarter
think
4.
you know how quarters work.
Well, the article's Q4.
It's okay. Neither does Nvidia.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, a little screwed up.
Oh, it says Q1 now. Okay, good.
So I'm. Oh,
Whoa.
who changed that? God bless your soul.
Certainly wasn't me.
Oh,
We were hanging out to dry.
Nothing.
I was going to change it to Q8.
2018.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay. Can I do this one now, Alex? Can I?
You may.
Can I? Okay. Corsair K95 RGB Platinum review. What kind of keys are in it?
Flagship keys.
The flagship keys? Oh,
MX Red Speeds.
Red Speed. Are those the ones with like the crazy shallow trigger
Yeah,
point or
1.2.
something?
Yeah, the actuation distance is 1.2.
Also available in browns, which I like that choice because that's my preference of keyboard keys, switches. I like these keyboards. Actually, these keyboards are on most of the desks in the office, I think. So one on mine. Oh wait, Ryan changed.
Yeah, I only see yours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're on all the desks in my house. How about that? Anyway, they're just good stinking keyboards.
Look at that RGB.
Yeah.
Got the logo, got that
It's
edge
bright.
lighting, got the backlighting. That's so many RGBs. in
Yeah,
this.
that's we first saw those at last CES, right? Like there's a plastic strip along the very top that gets edge lighting. Did he get a picture of the edge lighting? There it is. It's pretty sweet. But they're really just nice, solid keyboards. It's an anodized aluminum top plate to the whole thing that's reasonably thick. It doesn't really flex.
I
Kitty
have
approves of RGB.
Kitty
I mean,
does.
even the non-RGB versions, they're still the same build. It's just, Oh,
Thankful there's little green on the kitty.
let's see.
I haven't used the Cherry speed switches, but the Kyla.
However you
Kale?
pronounce that, I don't know.
Yeah, they have the coppers, which are kind of a clone of those with the 1.2 millimeter.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. They are very, very responsive and very impressed with them.
Yeah. I mean, I just like a little bit of the tactile feel, and you don't get any of that with any kind of a red switch.
Mhm.
So
What, don't you get that with the brown? There's a little bit of a bump, isn't there?
Yeah.
the Browns have they don't click,
No, they
but
don't.
they feel like they clicked.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where when the switch flips over. Okay. It looks like their software. This is the new combined software, right? Corsair Utility Engine 2, which is supposed to be able to handle the.
No, I think the new one is IQ.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh. Why didn't he use that? I don't know. This one looks fancier than the one I'm running for mine. But I think I'm on Corsair Utility Engine 1. All right. Anyway, look at that. You can make color bands and man. I need to update the software I'm using. Did you send those?
No.
So they sent him PBT
PBT keycaps.
PBT keys as well. You reviewed that in some keyboard recently, right?
I reviewed the keycaps.
Okay.
It's pretty.
So $50 for PBT keycaps if you want them.
Yeah, I don't think that's changed at all.
That's kind of costly. What was the
Bit
cost?
pricey.
What was the cost of the keyboard?
Scroll down.
I'm looking.
It's
Did you
a
say
wee bit
scroll down or
wacky.
scrotum?
Well,
Oh.
you know.
Where do
Yeah.
you put it? All right. Well, I'm looking for the price.
It's $199.99,
Okay.
Good Lord, that's a lot of keyboard money.
That is true. That is kind of
and that's without the fancy keycaps, which
Yeah.
are $50 extra.
You can at
Yeah.
least put the PBT keycaps on it for $200.
I mean,
Give you both.
No.
yeah. That is kind of pricey for one of those, especially considering like
It's-
there's a lot of RGB options
How
out
much
there
is your
now.
Ergo Docs, Alex?
350
Ooh.
all up.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's got the fancy
Does it type for you?
almost.
Let's not go there.
Okay. What do we got next? FSP Hydro, I think. Lee. The power supply arc welding man. Yep. FSP Hydro PTM 650 watt platinum power supply. It's platinum rated, so that means the efficiency should be really dang good. What page should we go to? Yes.
Well,
Gotta go
come
to-
on, you gotta show Ken his caps.
Gotta go to the one. Yes, you gotta.
Come
look at
on,
the
come on,
capacitors.
come on.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Suspense is killing
I'm
me.
getting
The
there.
anticipation.
I'm
Build
getting
up.
there.
Where's it at?
Ah, there we go.
Shivering.
Sweet release.
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
This is some nice components.
Do you guys all feel better now that you've seen?
Oh yeah.
Well,
seen the
I'm done
large-
here.
Yeah. Can you
Time
got
to get
a
out the
got a cigarette,
jerkin.
Ken? Okay.
Oh, now it's just getting obscene.
Yeah. Let's go to those final thoughts and see. It comes with stickers.
Comes with stickers to match your color scheme.
Oh.
Red, blue, and
Stickers,
green.
not
Oh my
RGB,
god, it's an
unfortunately.
RGB power supply.
Oh no. It is actually. Anyway, what's the 12 volt rail? 54.17 amps.
That's it.
Glad they
Well, on
were
the
being
650, the 750 is a bit better, but not much.
so $125 for a 650 watt power supply. They make a 750 for 140, and a 550 for 110. He gave it a gold award. That's actually high. That's high praise coming from coming from Lee because he is extremely hard.
The only weakness being a misprinted box with a feature that it doesn't have.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
The price is decent for fully modular because usually making the ATX power cables non-modular jacks up the price by like 20 or 30 bucks. So seeing it for under 140 is pretty decent, and a 10-year warranty is not bad at that price.
okay.
10-year warranty. I won't
Yeah.
even be alive by then. Have you seen what I eat?
Yes.
Burgers.
Well,
that's,
you should.
that's all you eat,
You should-
according to
you should-
what I see.
Yeah, you should stop skipping that day of the week, or
Every
start skipping that
Wednesday.
day. Yeah.
It's good for you.
I'm more of a Tuesday burger man myself.
You should
That's it.
tweet a salad on some Wednesday and see the feedback you get. See if people revolt.
It's a good idea. I like your thinking.
All right, next
That
up,
one's free.
life-saving advice from Ken. Next up, Samsung 970 Pro and Evo. Sort of a roundup. Not a full capacity roundup because we don't have all of the capacities of them, but we have a decent sampling. Got the 0.5 terabyte Pro. And then for the Evo, we got a 250, a 0.5 terabyte, and a 1 terabyte. They make the Pro up to 1 terabyte. They make the Evo up to 2 terabytes. It's not backwards anymore. Remember the 960 did that weird trick where they built the DRAM into the controller on the Pro so that they can have a higher capacity Pro than an Evo because they made more space. This time the drivers are all the exact same layout. Doesn't matter if it's Pro or Evo anymore. Heck, the flash is almost identical
Do
in
they
there.
have 3.5 gigs of RAM? Because they're 970s.
Sure. And the last is going to go slower.
Yeah.
Like the
With
last
3.5
half.
gigs of fast RAM, then
Yeah.
a 0.5 gig of slow RAM.
Yep. All right. So we took a look at these. Specs are pretty much what you would expect. Slight incremental update, slightly higher specs or ratings than 960s. No real surprises here. There's nothing like super amazing in any of their claims. There's no new kind of technology over the 960s. It's still doing the what's the dang name of the I always mess it up. They have TurboWrite cache, but now they have intelligent TurboWrite, which is where there's a static SLC cache on the Evos, and then depending on how empty the drive is, it might take some more of the flash that's free and just expand the size of the cache.
Why don't they just call it new and improved cache?
I guess. I don't know.
Cache Plus.
But they introduced this as well with the 960. I don't even think the numbers have been tweaked other than the fact that now there is a higher capacity with a larger intelligent figure to go with it. Packaging, same as it ever was. I mean, it's pretty much exactly like replace the 6 with 7. And for the most part, that's what you've got, except let's just go right to this weighted thing here. Okay, so pay attention to the blue bars on this burst random chart. Blue bars being read performance. This is going to be the number that's like relates to how snappy the system feels when you're trying to launch things that kind of pepper the SSD with a bunch of random reads. Is
that the new WD Black?
That is the new.
Okay, the new and improved
Western Digital WD Black, 1 terabyte.
Okay.
Holds its weight pretty well, doesn't it?
It does. I included it as a comparison point here. I kind of ran out of room for comparison points on the typical size of our chart because I was trying to compare the new to the old 970s and 960s, Evos and Pros, and throw an 860 in there and you only got one more spot. So, but look at this progression. So like you could tell if you look at the 960 Evo, it gave us, a score of 21,000. So that's basically like a weighted IOPS, a weighted realistic IOPS. Not like what these things are rated for, like hundreds of thousands of IOPS. You're never going to see that just trying to do regular stuff on the computer. So 21,000 for the old 960 Evo, and the new ones, the 250 gig of the new model almost beats the 1 terabyte of the old model. And then you get like a 3 to 5% gain-ish when you go from the same capacity 960 to the same capacity 970. You get a higher... What?
I've got to ask a really dumb question.
Sure.
So reads have lower IOPS than writes?
They do.
That's amazing to me.
They do. It's because when you want to read something from an SSD, it actually has to get the information from the flash and give it to you before the read is done. If you want to write something to an SSD, you're basically writing to the buffer of the flash memory.
Ah, okay. So you
just sprays it all over the place.
It's easier to push it all in than pull it all out.
Yeah, like the SSD acknowledges that it has received the write to the host, even though there's something else that still has to happen, right?
So then it's going to wipe it up and put it in the right location.
Yeah. Now it does that in a protected way, relatively. Like the sector you're in the middle of writing, you might lose if power goes away. But that's file systems are designed at this point to be able to handle like a sector not completing. Like if you were writing a file and your power went out, well, guess what? The file's not going to be fully written to your drive, basically. Okay, so 960 Pro, which was our chart topper, gets beat by the 970 Pro, even though it is a quarter of the capacity. We didn't have the 1 terabyte model to test. Still, even though there's less parallelism to the flash and everything, still turns in a pretty dang high score, 27,600. That's like the highest number. Like if I scroll down here to the insane chart, I mean, the only other things beating it are Optane drives. Now, Optane drives will do hundreds of thousands of IOPS at low queue depths for random reads. But, 27,000 is not too shabby for a NAND SSD. That costs a lot less and is way higher capacity. Where else can we go here? Sequentials, same sort of story. I mean, newer drives, faster sequentials. We're now almost past 3 gig per second on our more realistic sequential test as opposed to one that just like hits the max queue depth possible. Oh man, just realized what a bear it is to scroll through these charts now to get to the I just wanted
Man,
to
there's
get.
just not enough choice in the SSD market nowadays. I tell you.
No. There's not enough items out there. Same kind of deal with our mixed burst test. So this is more of a real world, like you have a download going in the background, or you have something writing to the SSD in the background at the same time that you're trying to do game launches or application launches or whatnot. I mean, it's a pretty. These things are extremely consistent. You got to give them that. Like, you can just see a nice subtle ramp as you go in the higher capacities of the Evos, and then you can see a generation to generation delta from the 960 Pro to the 970 Pro. Everything's working almost exactly like how you would expect it to work. Combination of these drives being super consistent and the fact that our test suite has an insane number of repeating data points on same numbers that it's like a huge averaging thing at the end of it. So yeah, it's good stuff. And you can see here that you're only shaving off at a 4 gigabytes total read over the course of its test, which takes a few minutes. You're only saving 0.3 seconds out of 4. So even though these things are getting faster and faster, you're getting to the point where you're splitting hairs. Is the takeaway, right?
Diminishing returns.
Diminishing returns, right? 960 Pro, 4 seconds total to do this. So that would be, basically, this is supposed to equate to a realistic, this is how long you're sitting there waiting for things to have launched, total time, right? 4 seconds for a 960 Pro, 3.7 seconds for a 970 Pro, and then for those curious, 3.4 seconds for a 900p.
You'll never get that 0.3 of a second back, though.
I guess, but my point is, you're only getting another you only get another 0.3 to go with the Optane for actually launching things, because the computer is also the limit, right? Like you can random read super quick, but the computer actually has to do something with that information. So once you throw that in there, you get the diminishing returns that Josh alluded to. Let's go to the end and see how much these things cost.
Let me guess, not 10 cents a gig.
Not 10 cents a gig.
Did you read the first comment on the article? Asked
Yeah.
about 10 cents a gig. Was that you? Anonymously anonymous?
Probably. Anyway, so here's the thing. These are the fastest NAND parts you can buy. Right? It's replaces the throne of the 960 with the 970 in that respect. They're still cheaper than Optane, but they're expensive compared to a lot of the competition that's out there that actually gets you pretty close. So if you want the top fastest, top dog as far as the NAND SSD, in a capacity all the way up to 2 terabytes, and actually notice that the Evos this time, they actually they ramp down in cost per gig all the way up to the premium capacity. So you start at 48 cents a gig, it drops down to 43. So 43 cents a gig, not bad for a 2 terabyte product that performs as fast as that one probably will. I say probably because we didn't have the 2 terabyte sample, but I expect it would at least go as fast as the 1 terabyte, which was pretty impressive.
I think I read something about write endurance going up on these as well.
Yeah, the endurance numbers are slightly higher over the last generation. And the warranty is now 5 years on the Evo. Evo always used to carry a 3-year warranty.
That's nice.
So maybe there's just Samsung being super confident in their flash and like how robust it is at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of just like it's almost like, a new Intel CPU, right? Like you get 5 to 10% gains, get a couple little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it's just like the expected gain, right? I was surprised to see that kind of gain in a product that when the previous generation was already getting close to saturating the interface. So you'd figure you're kind of like running out of room there.
Usually don't have that problem with CPUs.
No, usually I don't have the problem with CPUs. But it was nice to see that Samsung can push this even further and especially get improved performance at the lower Q depths, because that's what all people seem to miss. Like they're just going for, if you do QDEP 256, you can get this insane high number that nobody can actually ever run enough programs at the same time to hit, right?
Yeah.
So it was good. I mean, the ratings on these products is 15,000 IOPS, QDepth 1. And I applaud Samsung for even having the balls to have the spec. Whereas nobody else has a QDepth 1 spec that they're willing to put in print, right? So that's good. And Samsung has been doing that since I think the 950. It was at least the 960 where they started. I think as far back as 950. So they had their eye on that ball early, which is good. So yeah, there you go. If you want the Pro though, it's like 60-something cents a gig.
You're gonna pay for it. You're gonna pay for the Pro if you want the Pro.
Yeah. Anyway, what do we got next? Oh yeah,
Another keyboard.
Logitech Craft wireless keyboard. Christopher also reviewed this one. I had this keyboard on my desk for a while.
Also a $200 keyboard.
Also a $200 keyboard. I also put it on my wife's desk for a while. And then after reading this article, apparently Christopher had it on his desk for a while and then put it on his wife's desk for a while from the sounds of it. My wife likes these, the Mac chiclet style keyboards, even on her desktop, right? And that's
usually a lot cheaper than $200.
Yeah, it's usually a lot cheaper than $200. This is a wireless version. It's rechargeable. It has like a USB-C cord included. It's USB 2 on one end and USB-C on the other. It has a knob in the upper left.
A knobbin?
It has a knob, yes. It is a knob that can either, those Logitech mice that like you hit you have one on your desk, right? You hit the button or is yours just like the momentum scrolling?
Mine has
thing?
a momentum scrolling.
Yeah. So like it's a mouse wheel that either clicks or has some other mode to it that's just smooth scrolling with no clicks to it. This keyboard actually has this really small servo motor that you can actually hear kick over. And there's a mechanism in that volume knob looking thing that can switch between notched and smooth. And it also pushes in, and it's also touch sensitive on the top. And all of that functionality is incorporated into, and it's a LED backlit, not RGB, just LED, just white. So you can see the keys. You don't need like a light switch rave. Where's the dang software? Here we go. So there is software that lets you reconfigure, and this knob is called the crown, kind of like the crown on a watch. It's like application sensitive. It's reprogrammable. It's like you could scrub the video timeline in Premiere. You can use it to just scroll through pages when you're in Word or whatever, like just actually scroll through PDFs and stuff. When you're on the desktop, I think the default is just to be your Windows volume control. When I started using it, it was pretty early. Like it had just come out, and like I think it was even on like a beta firmware when we first got it in the office. So sometimes for me, the ratcheting thing kicking on and off as you were changing like context to different applications like wouldn't work properly. So if it was supposed to smooth scroll in one place and then ratchet for your volume, like it sometimes would misdo it. But they've come out with firmware since then, and I think they've updated that software several times. So I'm pretty sure that that's taken care of now. If you get that kind of problem, just update the firmware on the keyboard. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was a cool keyboard. It was, a good experience. It was kind of like a learning curve for having a knob in the upper left that did stuff, especially if you're used to the Corsair keyboards where it has the knob on the right for the volume. It's kind of like not in the place you might think, but
you want to be able to keep your hand on the mouse when you use the knob.
That's it. You get used to it quick.
So lefties need not apply apparently, but
yeah, you get used to that. You kind of have to like a mental switch has to take place for you to understand that the knob does different things in different like you're turning the same knob, but all you have to do is like just move your mouse off of that window and make another window active or make the background active, and suddenly that knob does something different.
And then you're a knob?
Yeah. Anyway, $200.
that's too much.
Yeah, it seems like too much.
Way too much. Maybe $100 is what I would pay for that.
Maybe $150. It's really.
And I like chiclet keyboards a lot. I have a MX Master on my desk. Like, I really like the free scrolling thing. It'd be cool if I could use it as context in different apps, but no way $200.
Right.
Absolutely no way.
Okay. Next.
We have a ad.
All right. Well, I will let Ryan materialize in this seat and read the ad.
We're going to do the little...
Oh.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Oh, God. Where'd he go?
He transported out of here.
Grabbed his bags and took off.
Yep.
Wheeled away.
While
Charging his phone.
What do we got? Yeah, he just came in to put his phone on the charger for 3.5 seconds, and then, he's gone.
And show off his luggage.
Yeah.
Yep. Ken, you got some rumor stuff, right?
This is Ken's rumor
Ken's
corner.
rumors corner.
Fire away, Ken.
So this is a bit of a weird one. This surfaced end of last week on Friday from a website called winfuture.de, I believe. They had some leaks of a Cannon Lake U based NUC, so the next generation Intel processors, 10 nanometer, first 10 nanometer parts, rumored. Of course, we don't really have any details on these. There had kind of been a leak before of this i3-8121U part. This, I think it's a dual core hyper-threaded part. i3 obviously, so a little like the lower end of the performance for the U series, the 15-watt stuff. However, WinFuture seemed to uncover this image of the packaging, like sort of just the bulk packaging, and then also an image of a driver that implies it has discrete graphics in a traditional form factor NUC. So we're talking the 4-inch by 4-inch NUC.
Yeah.
And right there it says it has graphics, GDDR5, 2 gig.
What is
So that's weird. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see they actually got a screenshot
usually
from the driver that says Radeon 500 series.
Ooh. So usually these are in different form factor when they do discrete.
Yeah.
Right?
So we've only had one NUC with discrete graphics, and that has been the Hades Canyon NUC, which is the bigger form factors using Kaby Lake G stuff, the stuff we've known about for a while with Vega graphics. Over this is reporting as Radeon 500 series graphics. It's a much smaller PCB, and it has GDDR5. Now, based on a couple other things, some educated guesses, if you look at the core clock, the fact it has 2 gigs of memory, and then sort of it says it has a 100 or a 90 or 100 watt power supply, I believe, also on the box. We kind of sussed it out to be an RX 550 class GPU. So definitely the lower end of what AMD has to offer on the Polaris stuff. And then, as it turns out, someone pointed us towards a 3D Mark score, which coincidentally had this i3-8121U in an RX 550. So it would seem
Why are they being so mean to Lenovo?
Yeah, the Lenovo Invalid.
That's just
It's not nice.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that.
So there's that 3D Mark leak. There's this Lenovo leak with one of these 8121U parts that kind of puts it on par with the Kaby Lake based dual core hyper-threaded i5 parts, like the i5 7260U, sort of the mid-range there. It's really weird because we've seen some of these SKUs at retail now. They don't mention the graphics, but it's only the i3-8121U, which is the lower power part. Seems like you would put discrete graphics paired with something like the quad-core hyper-threaded processors, which we assume would be present in the next generation as well. It's just kind of odd. I mean, I don't know if this points towards we obviously know Intel's having a lot of issues with 10 nanometer, so maybe this i3-8121U is going to be the only Cannon Lake U part we see for quite a while, which is why it would be in this configuration. But it's weird. It seems like AMD and Intel's relationship, at least in this whole NUC department, isn't quite over, or it's more than we thought it was. It's not just Kaby Lake G. They also seem to be buying some discrete GPUs for integration into NUCs, which no one really predicted.
Is this going through the same AMD subsection that the integrated graphics were? The custom, semi-custom?
I would say absolutely not, because it's using GDDR5. So it seems like this will just be a GPU, memory, and power delivery on the board, like we would expect with a typical notebook design, not the EMIB stuff, not on the same substrate. 'Cause it seems like we definitely would have heard about that by now, and you couldn't really do that with GDDR5. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. You would still be taking up a lot of board area. Wouldn't have a lot of savings. It'd be way more complicated. Yeah,
Oh, it is neat, and I'm looking forward to the all-new NUC 813CM SM3 spam.
I mean, it rolls off the tongue. Oh, what was that? Scroll up. What was the code name for Snook? It was something pretty cool. Crimson Canyon, I believe. Crimson Canyon's a pretty good code name. Yeah, the Crimson Canyon Nook.
Candy, is that like Candy Mountain?
It's way better than Baby Canyon,
Yes.
That's true.
as it turns out.
The old Babby
came out of
Canyon
that?
is just not good.
How is Baby
How
Canyon
is, how is
formed?
Babby Canyon formed? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I could think of. Ah. Oh no, wait, there's more rumors.
Speaking of Intel rumors,
Intel 40th anniversary CPU, the 8086K.
can I interest you in an Intel 8086?
I mean, I think
perhaps?
that should have come before the 8700K. I mean, I know what they're doing, but still, like, you know, it's like a lower number.
Just let them have it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just let
that's
them
all
have
they.
Okay.
That's all they can do.
Okay. Well, if they do it,
Yeah, this one seems a bit shady.
like, you know, I mean, it does say, I mean, we don't know if that's faked or not, but
Yeah, I mean, it's not like no one's ever faked a CPU Z screenshot before, but the rumor is that it will turbo up to 5.1 gigahertz. Then the base clock will be 4 gigahertz, I think, up from 3.7. Be a pretty massive jump to retain the 95 watt TDP.
yeah.
Intel has done anniversary processors before. They did that Pentium anniversary edition, which was actually a really good value and an awesome chip in the Haswell era, I think.
If they do this, will it be a good value or just like sort of a marginally overpriced? You know,
I would, well,
see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I could definitely see it being too expensive, but it seems like this would require an awareness of the general market and consumers
Yeah.
that would make you not price it abnormally high.
If
but
this
who
was
knows?
say like, I mean, this is basically an 8700K clock tire, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but significantly higher.
Yeah. So like, if it was like 10 or 20% more expensive,
I'd say like $50 is what I would expect.
yeah. If it was
$50
like,
on top
if it was
of
like $50 over an 8700K, like I might buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, maybe they'll solder this one. That's what they did with the
That
Devil's
was-
Canyon stuff, the 4790K.
Yeah, they did.
That was the first thing I thought. Like when it was like, oh, what are they going to use for their TIM on this thing?
It seems like you would have to, you'd almost have to solder it to get it to those levels at sort of a stock configuration. Now, I will say I saw some more stuff about this. It seems the source for this rumor is a tweet from at least one of the guys that works at Wikichips. Like, hey, it'd be really cool if this happens. Here's a free idea, Intel. And then people picked it up months later. So, I mean, it's possible that they went, oh, that's a really good idea. We should bin these chips out and we should figure this out. But I wouldn't hold your breath. The rumor is June 8th at Computex, which is really close to the 40th anniversary of the 8086. It'd be cool. But
Yeah, wake me up when they release the 8088.
That
That'll
was
be
my second PC after the trash 80.
Yep.
Oh,
Now
the
that'd be an
trash.
anniversary.
All right, what do we got next here? Oh yeah, HDR 1000 monitor. Because there've already been HDR 1000 TV sets, right?
well, not quite.
No,
So HDR
Nobody's-
1000 is the new Visa spec, which
Okay.
I don't think any TVs are certified against. It's more of a PC monitor spec.
Okay.
This is the first HDR 1000 PC monitor, essentially the first HDR 1000 device.
You'd figure that you'd want the TV to be the thing that would hit like the sun actually rising in your living room first, as opposed to the thing sitting 3 feet from your face.
It's just the Visa spec isn't something that TV manufacturers are using.
I
They're
know.
capable of doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them are. Like Vizio announced a set that will hit 2000 nits recently.
Jesus.
At least that's some small portion of the
And
display.
anything support
Burn.
HDR10?
Burn my eyes.
Yeah, not just burn that. Like, I wonder if they have burn-in. Are they bringing back burn-in protection? Because
Yeah, they're sunglasses.
If you had a static image, 2,000 nits blowing through some
It's
part
not
of the
the
TV.
entire image, and
I
not
understand.
for long periods of time.
Okay, I hope for not. Like, I hope it backs it off or something. If you like, what if the source just keeps the sun on the screen in the same spot for like 5 minutes? Right?
Oh, I can think of some fun new malware to write.
See, like it's just gonna leave. You know, you could have the thing like big old FU and 2,000 nits, and then like leave it up for a day.
We'll call it Retinox or something.
Yeah. Anyway,
But what the hell source are you going to use for this HDR? Because like
Gonna use your
nothing
PC.
really supports HDR properly.
yeah.
HDR in gaming works fine. The problem is that HDR gaming displays now are HDR 600 at best and don't really look a whole lot different. If you had the display, if you hooked up an OLED TV to your PC, it would work fine in games. The whole desktop experience is just a nightmare.
Yeah,
that
that-
HDR slider
See?
in Windows
Like-
does really shitty stuff.
That
but
is
if you
horrible.
want to play games or you want to watch movies, it's fine. You don't
Yeah.
really want to use HDR on your desktop, I don't think.
But you're not really selling me on it. Is the
Games and
thing.
movies.
It's like it sounds lovely, and as someone just mentioned in the chat, the Half-Life 2 little tech demo where they sort of tried to show you what HDR would be like with no HDR equipment whatsoever. And yeah, it looks kind of pretty, but you can do it in software. And honestly, I haven't run into any HDR where I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely HDR. It's more like, oh, that's
I mean,
an
have you
HDR
s-
TV, is it?
have you-
Okay.
Then
We should
you're
try-
not you're not seeing the right displays then, because
I may not be.
I have an HDR set at home. It's a pretty. I mean, it's 2016 set, I think, and at that time it was a pretty high end set, but in today's standards, it's kind of more middle of the range. But when stuff is properly graded for HDR, which admittedly not a lot of content out there, some of it is crap.
Kind of my point.
Amazon does all of their series in HDR, and some don't take well to it at all. Like the Grand Tour looks really good. Planet Earth 2 on Blu-ray and HDR looks really good.
Okay, I did believe.
There are definitely some movies, like the latest Pixar movie that came on Blu-ray, Coco, looks amazing in HDR.
Oh yeah.
Content certainly not there. Netflix doesn't really do a whole lot of HDR. They do some stuff, but haven't really been impressed with a lot of that. So it's murky. Games have more of an opportunity, right? Because it's easier to grade.
Yeah, you're
a
coming from a
game
dark
for
space to a light
HDR.
space more often.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that sells me on it yet.
Fair enough. And it's like one of those things, like you go to a big box store, it's probably not going to be set up right with the right source, and you won't know if it's actually HDR if you're just looking
A lot of
OLED
the-
set that looks really good anyways.
Jeremy, if you get a chance, like the Planet Earth stuff is
Yeah, it's just
How
like,
about
where
the
do you
Blade
watch
Runner?
that
Well,
at?
first I
pretty
need a
good.
Blu-ray,
HDR?
then I need an HDR TV.
Exactly.
Then I should buy a Blue Earth or 2.
Well,
Planet
I mean-
Earth 2.
I mean, if you have the HDR TV, like you can stream it from, it's on like Amazon Video or something.
Not
I think.
HDR.
Yeah, it's HDR.
and
No,
I
it's
bet
not.
you can't get it in Canada.
It's on whatever. It's on some source on my television that did not come from like my house, and my TV went into HDR.
It's on
mode.
Netflix, but the Netflix version isn't in HDR.
I don't know.
At least it wasn't when they posted it initially. I don't know if they updated it.
Either way, that content, like you're outside in the desert and they're looking at wildlife and stuff, and there's like all sorts of like shadows and highlights in the same shot. Like it's
Even not in HDR, Planet Earth 2 looks incredible, so it
Yeah,
kind of
that's
defeats a lot of the point.
yeah,
Yeah.
But it does definitely add something to it.
Yeah. As sort of an update, I've been looking at a FreeSync 2 HDR display. I hope to post something on that before the next podcast. As you heard from my previous impressions on HDR and PC, we're
Well,
not.
part of
we
that's
don't- we
part of
don't-
that's Windows' fault.
I don't think it's Windows' fault. I think it's the display's fault. We just don't have high quality small HDR displays yet. Like this is the Philips you're talking about is a 43 inch. It's a TV essentially,
Basically.
so they can hit 1,000 nits. Trying to do that at 27 inches is an incredibly difficult problem, as it turns out. So, meh. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Okay.
Because it's getting late.
Next up,
It's true.
AMD clarifies warranty terms for Ryzen CPUs.
Free the heat sinks.
Back on the soapbox.
Yeah, what the? Whoa, I didn't know they clarified stuff.
So,
Free the TDP.
So the story was that you have to use the inbox cooler, or you're voiding your warranty on a CPU.
Yeah. So on Monday, a Reddit user found the AMD support page that said if you're using AMD processor in a box or processor in box SKU, then if you use anything but the provided thermal solution, your warranty is invalid. And I've actually seen some people post like inserts from their Radeon, their Ryzen 7 2400G that had the same terms on it, essentially.
Right.
Obviously, there's no real reason, no real way AMD could tell if you're using a third-party cooler, right? When you go to RMA this thing, and it seemed a bit weird. There's like, obviously AMD promotes using third-party cooling solutions all over the place, so it seemed weird. They cleared up the warranty terms, I think today on their support page. We link to it. Essentially, it's if you're using a cooler that is not up to the specifications that AMD provides manufacturers for cooling, like if you're trying to use some like 45 watt cooler on your 105 watt Ryzen 7 2700X and it manages to blow up, then it's not covered.
Yeah.
Like if they find you using a really not up to par cooling solution, they can invalidate your warranty. Even then, I don't think your processor would die. It would just shut off.
Most people that don't use the cooler that came with the CPU are probably upgrading.
Yeah. Unless you're going with the zip tie method like a certain YouTube hardware guy likes to do occasionally. At least he uses proper coolers when he's zip tying them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of much ado about nothing. But it's good that the community found it. They got AMD to update this page, which was definitely was just incorrect. And their
I mean, it was just like
what they were actually planning on enforcing. So good on everyone getting updated quickly. But yeah, so nothing really changed in the end. What you assumed was the case is now still again the case.
Yay.
Okay. Jeremy,
What?
tell me about BattleTech. Or is that
Well, I've blown about an hour and a bit last night when I managed to reclaim a little bit of time to have some fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you caught the discussion earlier, it's reminiscent of the tabletop game in that it is not very quick. It is turn-based, but it still maintains some of the velocity that you feel if you have at least a bit of an imagination. If you found XCOM a little bit slow, don't even bloody well think about it. If you loved MechWarrior and screwing around with mechs and Mech Commander, it's the first real mech game we have had in for friggin' ever. And we're going to get spoiled because there's a new MechWarrior coming out as well this year. It's been fun. I don't know how long it's going to last because I haven't really played much. And Alex at Rock, Paper, Shotgun did have some comments about, after my 2,000th battle, I was just kind of bored of the animations and it just takes forever to do turns. But hell, I mean, if you've ever played a Total War game, the newer versions take forever for the AIs to do a turn. But at least this way you can see what's happening and yell and scream at your monitor. So I'd put it on your to-do list if you've got some time, a bit of cash, and an enjoyment of big stompy vehicles and death from above and stomping on the crunchies.
sweet? Almost feel like we ventured into picks of the week, even though we haven't. All right, what do we got next? Windows 10 Lean.
That Windows 10 with cough syrup?
What? Okay,
No.
you guys all know what this. What was the name? It was like Windows 98 Lite.
Yep.
Remember that? Some poor guy slaved away and figured all of the guts and innards of Windows, and he made like a way for you to chop up the installer.
Oh, come on. XP embedded?
Well, yeah, but like,
That's still running all over the damn place.
yeah.
Oh, like you used a bank machine today? Guess what you used? I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but this is okay. So a lean version of Windows 10, 2 gigs smaller than typical versions. Now realize this is already in addition to other tricks that Windows has done in recent months, where it like reduces its footprint by not having like a whole extra copy of. Like you used to have like 2 copies of everything after an install. Now it can like sort of stream bits and pieces of like the image that's on the drive and stuff like that. Like they've made headway recently.
Huh. I didn't know that.
They were doing a bunch of stuff to trim space, but not this.
Yeah.
This is a totally different level. Unfortunately, they're probably doing this for those laptops with like eMMC really crappy drives in
Target
them.
device with 16 gigs of storage.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. How do you get this though? Like what? And what did they get rid of?
This was part of the rumors that we saw come out earlier this week because someone was screwing around in a knowledge base article, and there was a big push for last year's Fall Creators update. There's a major update coming, which in theory is for our spring update, but in there was a little bit of mention about this SKU, and what it looks like is it's not going to be Windows S. Like, it's not going to be Windows 10S where, sorry, you lock down to the Windows Store and
Yeah.
unless you're bright enough to get the hell out of it, no one's going to get it. But at the same time, like, when Microsoft's already pretty much abandoned their phone lineup, pretty much for sure officially now. So what 16 gig device is it that they're looking for? Unless they're looking at embedded stuff again.
Have you heard of Chromebooks, Jeremy?
That's
Yeah, but I
true.
don't want to spend $1,000 on them.
Well,
As it turns out, everything but the one Google sells
yeah,
are
is much
cheap
cheaper
and have 16 to 32 gigs of storage,
yeah.
and is
Okay.
very much a market Microsoft would like to be in, which is why Windows 10S existed in the first place.
It's true.
So why
Yeah,
not
but
take
they
another
kinda
swing at
screwed that
things?
I just really
The
wonder.
Microsoft way.
Like, I wonder what do you trim to get? Like, what do you get rid of?
You get rid of the Hibernate file. That's like 8 gigs.
Well, in this case, you just never created it in the first
Yeah.
place. Yeah, but I mean, I think they're
Yeah, obviously
they're
there's
getting
other
rid of 2
stuff.
gig worth of stuff somehow.
Maybe they get rid of Paint 3D. They don't sell Candy Crush by default.
Oh, see now, the reason I used to run 98 Lite was not because it was smaller, was because they trimmed all the fat. Right? There wasn't a bunch
Fat in
of
Windows?
there wasn't there. Well,
Wait,
I mean,
are you
Okay,
talking
it
about
wasn't that it was smaller. They just trimmed off all the fat.
Enlight was a different.
Sadly, it wasn't
thing.
NTFS at that point yet.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. All right, what do we got next? NVIDIA releases RTX. Oh, that's that ray tracing stuff.
Well, they
Uh-huh.
released a driver. You
Okay.
stopped at that part.
397.
If you own a Volta,
And in
Yeah.
that driver
Mm-hmm.
is the beta version of RTX, if you happen to have a Volta-based GPU.
Oh,
And from Scott's article, it sounds like you kind of need to be on Spring Creators, and you need the Microsoft DXR package, which is their sort of ray tracing integrated into DirectX.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is only really for software developers, but it's cool to see it kind of have a fairly wide release where
Yeah.
if you had access to this stuff, you could start developing.
you have to have all the things on the fast ring, beta, whatever, like as early as you can get everything, and then maybe it will work.
pretty much.
Well, they're supposed to push 1803 next week, I think. So,
Yeah.
I think it's the Microsoft DXR developer package. That's kind of the big part. I don't know if that's just like a public beta people can sign up for or not.
I think if you're on the fast string, you essentially you're getting it. But it seems like that's a big chunk of the update that we're slowly starting to see now. And by about April 8th is going to be pushed to just about everyone.
Also, you need to have a $3,000 GPU. So,
You
Yeah,
know.
there's that. Yeah, there's the slight little.
If you
I've
got
got
the
3.
Volta.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and if you play BattleTech, apparently you're supposed to be using this driver or Frostpunk. It just came out.
Frostpunk?
I just ran into it because I was like, what in the hell is that? And it's a city builder in a world that's been in the middle of an ice age. And apparently you have to make a bunch of horrible decisions to keep the city going.
Huh.
That's about as far as I got.
Interesting.
All right. Picks of the week. Hold on a second.
Oh,
one. 2.
What?
You don't have to put it in the show notes. You can just show it on the screen, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
spelling counts.
You have the screen.
All right. So say you want like one of those USB external enclosures that you take your SATA SSD and stick in, right? But say it's an SSD that's like a nice looking one that, you know, where it's like a high capacity you want to show off or whatever. You want to be able to see the SSD that's in there.
Does it have RGB?
No RGB.
Oh.
Thank God. This is sort of like a Swatch style USB enclosure, right? It's just a clear plastic enclosure. You throw your SSD in there, and you're playing show and tell.
You're bearing the lead. You should take take the case off your SSD and put it in this enclosure.
But then it won't
Yeah, we're just
stay
like
in there
transparent
properly.
SSD.
But yes, you could take the housing off of your SSD, stick it in there, and you'll still have a thing that protects it. Although if it's any of the new Samsung ones, this housing is too big. Because all the PCBs in those drives are only taking like half the size.
Okay,
the capacity.
fine. Take the SSD apart. Break
Carve
out
off a bit
the
of
break out the
plexiglass.
Sawzall.
Break out the Sawzall? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just cut in. Yeah.
Then you might as well make your own housing.
Super
then.
glue it back together.
Anyway, it's USB 3, UASP, LMNOP, all those things, right?
Type C.
Type C, there are different versions of this that just come with different cables, and there's a version that doesn't come with a cable. That's cheaper.
But then you have to bring a Type C cable. Who has one of those?
So like, you know, so if you already have a short Type C to Type C, or you already have like your cable covered, then save yourself a couple bucks. But this thing's only like $15 as it is. You know, pretty cool. And the chip that handles this, you know, USB 3.1 UASP stuff it's basically the same chip being used everywhere. So you're probably not going to have any kind of compatibility issues at this point with anything like that. All right.
Cool.
That's mine. I gotta
Cheap.
open.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's just cheap. SSD not included. Who's up next? Jeremy, since we're being all backwards today.
No, that's the order it normally
Oh,
goes
then
in.
that would be Josh.
Oh, sorry. I got thrown off by the
Jeremy,
beginning.
just do it.
All right, so desperation pick, but hey, a decent deal for Canadians. 21 by 9, ultra wide, FreeSync, 1444 hertz. It was a UL monitor. No,
You mean
VA monitor, vertical
okay.
alignment. It's just about $200 off.
That's not
It's
bad.
not so bad. And you don't have to deal with HDR. It's just gonna work.
Yeah.
If you want to go
144.
crazy, the QHD one is $579, which honestly isn't a horrible deal either. So you sort of got a choice between the two of them, and they're both FreeSync.
Cool.
So you
Now,
know,
if you can only get a
it's-
FreeSync GPU at a reasonable price,
Can I interest you in an AMD Combat Crate?
You can't get.
you can't.
Oh, okay.
Not yet, but we're gonna have a discussion about this at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully recorded and on air.
Okay. Let's see. What do we got next?
don't know.
George.
What do we have next?
George loves something.
I love a lot of things. Some of them are even legal, like this one. It's the Corsair 750D Airflow. Is that what it is? Yes.
Yeah.
Roomy, wonderful case. Construction, great, easy to work with. It's got 5.25 drive base for all your optical
Gee,
needs.
whatever would you
airflow.
possibly want with a 5.25 bay on a PC, Josh?
I can find uses.
Or three of them, like this one
Yes.
You
has.
put an optical drive in one
Yes.
and an IC dock in the other two.
See?
There you go.
And it's not as quiet as the other 750D. And it's about $20 more expensive. So you can get your druthers if you want a little bit quieter. It's got a solid front on the 750D, but the Airflow edition has that really kind of nice grate and
It's more open.
stuff.
That's why.
Yes.
That's
Well,
why
it is
it's.
sundress season almost.
That's why it's slightly louder,
It's
right?
I think this is the case I have at home currently, and I'm running it without any fans in it at all, and it's very, very quiet. If you take the fans out.
Well, yeah. If you remove the noise-producing equipment.
And what he didn't tell you is he also filled it with mineral oil.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
super quiet.
and he hasn't turned it on yet.
Right. Gotcha.
So anyway, nice quality, good build, very sturdy, easy to work with, not terribly expensive, looks good. There you
Kind
go.
of thing you could take home to meet your mom.
Exactly. I married mine.
Your mom?
I see.
No, not my mom.
Okay.
Freezing?
Next is Ken.
So, let me paint a scenario for you. I know people love when I do this.
Picture this.
We use Dropbox here for the data for all the articles we're working on. We have it on. We have Dropbox syncing to our file server. It's great. Everyone gets access to all the same files. We can access them remotely.
Right.
Except the file in which the folder in which we have all of the Dropbox stuff has grown too big to be synced
To your Dropbox?
to my Dropbox account because I ain't paying Dropbox.
Right.
However, recently I've been using OneDrive a decent amount. I have Office 365 because I need Office, and I get terabyte of free storage.
Yep.
I use it. It works pretty well in Windows 10.
Yep.
Web interface is all right. You know,
It works.
It's pretty good.
Mhm.
However, doesn't help me a whole lot, right? Because files are in
Article
Dropbox here.
stuff is in the Dropbox. Yeah.
I've used Office OneDrive for home.
Uh-huh. It's a
Of
big
course-
mess.
Of course, people have solved this problem. One of these companies I came across is Cloud HQ. So essentially, they let you associate with all of the APIs for all of these different cloud services, and then they'll sync between them. So I have the articles folder on the Dropbox syncing to my OneDrive, and it goes back and forth.
Huh.
Yeah, it works pretty quickly. It takes about, I don't know, 5 minutes for something to push up from OneDrive down to them. Up to,
okay.
like it's not a I'm working on this in real time collaboration sort of thing. It's okay. I want to have access to this at home, so I want to make sure this is all synced at some point.
Yeah.
It is surprisingly quick though. If you go to the pricing page real quick, you can actually do a lot of stuff for free, which is nice. Look at the free tier. You can unlimited backup and sync of free cloud accounts. This is kind of the stickler as to what they determine as a free cloud account and what is a premium cloud account or a business cloud account. So
apart from the $118.
yeah. So the Dropbox that we use here is a premium account.
Uh-huh.
They also determine my OneDrive account to be a premium account because it
Because
is
it's
an Office
terabyte.
365 account.
Yeah.
So it works for I'm on the 2-week free trial and it's worked and it's synced everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it's $118 a year for one user to do unlimited backup between premium accounts. So that's steep. I don't think I'm going to continue with it, but the service works really well. It's easy to set up. And if you're looking for something like this, I think it's a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're switching over some file server stuff here. So hopefully this isn't as much of an issue. We want to like have external
we might be able
storage
to-
we can log into.
We might be able to start using OwnCloud or something.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've looked into
Yeah.
OwnCloud in the past, and it's a pain in the ass to get running. You have to run it in their VM. And
yeah,
just the,
but I think on that
yeah.
machine, I think on that NAS we have.
yeah, just the setup process for OwnCloud, like once you had I installed the distro and everything, and it was fine. Just like setting it up in their web interface was so many layers deep, and it was
Yeah.
really complicated. Where like this was super simple to set up, but it's definitely pricey. They bill it as a thing for professionals. So, I mean, again, I probably wouldn't do this unless it's a business reason you're making money off of it. But if you do have like a Google Drive account and a free OneDrive account or a free Dropbox account, you want to keep sync between, it can do free accounts. It works pretty well. So you don't have to give them a credit
Sweet.
card or anything, but yeah.
Is this a local app you run,
No.
or is this a pass?
it's a web app. So you just give it
Okay.
OAuth access, API access, and then they do the rest in the background.
And it sounds like
So-
the reason you're paying them is because I think they're storing a copy.
I doubt well, I don't know.
Because one of the options of the paid account is unlimited backup and sync of premium cloud accounts.
Yeah,
So
but I don't think
they
I have
have a
backup
copy.
turned on.
Well, right.
So in theory, they don't have to back it up. Like I'm not expecting them to
Right,
back it
right,
up.
right.
It'd be nice if sync was free, but
But you figure for them to sync it, they probably have to have at least a local copy somewhere.
well, at least
Or-
temporarily.
yeah, temporarily. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I was moderately curious there with the save emails to cloud because you mentioned you use Office 359 and Microsoft has some questionable ideas as to email retention policies. But I clicked through and no, it's only Gmail to this, which now
Yeah.
I'm wondering why I'd back up my Gmail
Right.
emails.
Yeah, especially just
I think I've got
cloud
100
service.
trillion terabytes of storage at this point.
I'm afraid to know what format they'll end up in on the cloud service?
Outlook Express.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can get it. You're not going to want to try, but
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
get
yeah.
it in theory.
And you won't be able to open the file because it's too large for Outlook Express to open. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Alex, you got anything?
Nope. Still holding on the Orcadox for a later episode.
Okie dokie.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Jim's over there in the zone, so we'll leave him alone.
By that,
PCPer.com/podcast.
you mean the wet wipes and the lotion?
No, those are on.
Ryan's
Nobody,
desk still.
listen, Jeremy, nobody touches Ryan's Jergens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe that for a second.
And it's not because he's told us not to touch it.
We just know.
We just know.
It's
Is this thing over yet?
90s I'm thinking
It's
of right now. that-
it's a slightly off-white bottle. You wouldn't be able to see anything on it. Just saying. Anyway.
Don't take a black light to this office, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right.
Was it
PCPer.com/podcast.
sure?
You can feel free to take a black light to that, and you'll find our show notes once they go up tomorrow when Alex posts this horrific train wreck of a podcast. Twitter.com/PCPer or Twitter.com/Ryan Shrout if you want to tweet the boss, ask him where the heck he is and why he's not at work. And with that, I'll say good night.
So long.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
That was worse than my last colonoscopy.
I know, right?
Hey, at least in a
And you've never
colonoscopy, they
had
give you good drugs.
colonoscopy.
At least something comes out of that.
Yeah, my gate control on my channel up here died halfway through the podcast.
Nice.
It was stuck open.
My wife sent me a text.
I'm just laughing at the color saturation the 920 has decided to do tonight.
My wife sends me a text asking if I can make sure she's up at 5:45.
Could you, please? It's only 1 o'clock there.
I mean,
Midnight.
Oh, midnight.
Shut up,
Nice.
Alexa.
Oh, it is 10. Anyhow.
did you guys hear that?
No.
Sorry, I couldn't find a contact named Shut Up. It did that to us the other day, too.
No.
Yeah, Ryan just instinctively was like, as soon as Alexa started piping up, he's like, no. She's like, sorry, I couldn't find no in your contacts. Oh.
That's when you say, Siri, tell Alexa to shut up and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go and add a no contact on my wife's phone. Because
No.
calling no.
Yeah.
Okay, if I got to get out of here, I would do more after show, but
Yep.
We haven't done any after shows.
No, we
I think we're running away.
Okay, you guys
no,
run
it's
away.
just family came home, got
It's like
things I got to try to take care of.
And chat, ask us a question or there won't be any after show.
Okay, I'm going to get out.
Get out while you can,
Yes.
Josh.
Get out while you can.
I'm
Escape.
getting out and finding
Bye.
some naproxen.
You said, oh no. What?
Hunch, hunch. What?
This is a interesting looking app that someone kind of linked me to called
Arclone?
Arclone. It's rsync for cloud storage, but it's a local
Look at the
thing,
list of freaking holy
Right?
crap.
right? I'll have to install this and see. I really like the idea of it being local as opposed to have cloud service, of course.
But it has to be a machine running, right?
Yeah, I just run on my desktop here.
Yeah. Biohazard asks, where are the 10 cent per gig SSDs? You know
Well,
what,
funny
Biohazard?
enough,
Funny enough, what site did he order it from?
eBay.
Oh, it was on eBay? Look on eBay for the Micron 1100.
That sale might not still be there, but Amazon wasn't far off.
Amazon wasn't far off either. We got a 2 terabyte drive.
280?
Was it? Was that the price?
It was at 280, I think.
No, I think it was less than that.
Okay, fine.
It came up to like 19 or 18 cents.
No, it was less than 17 cents a gig.
It
It
was
was
less
like
than
16
17?
and a half or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so it was a 10 cent per gigabyte class. Just like how they do with,
That's the term I coined.
well, that's how they do it with flash memory.
So it's really 19 cents a gig.
No, it was like 16 or 17. It was, it was getting there.
Don't you rain on this parade, Alex.
It was close enough for Ryan to buy one.
Well, we also as it turns out, have a need for a really big SSD that came up.
NVMe driver we used for reviewing the 970s. That is the not yet released 3.0 Samsung driver. Performance was not that far off from just using the inbox driver, so I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary. But Willie says, "What's up, Malventano?" from the forums. Are they making forum posts right now about the after show?
Oh boy, this R clone looks.
Should
like
I buy
a
an
pain in the
external
ass to
drive and
use.
cannibalize it, or buy a normal hard drive?
Buy an external drive, cannibalize it. 8 terabyte Easy Store sale at Best Buy, $150 this week.
8 terabyte drives for $150. The catch is it'll be a white label drive now. It's not going to be a red anymore.
It's still mixed.
It's
still
mixed?
Yeah, as far as I
Okay.
know, like
So you
it's
might
still
get a
luck of the
red,
draw.
but it's not as reliable as it was to get a red.
But the white labels are still reds.
Yeah, the white labels are reds. But the problem is,
Yeah. If you plug it in your computer and it doesn't work, then there's something you
it's
could do.
because of the 3.3 volt line. Something about the white label drives. If you give them 3.3 volts, it tricks them into thinking something.
It's an enterprise level feature that to like disable the drives apparently.
Oh.
If it has 3.3 volts high, then it disables the drives. If it doesn't, then it, for some reason.
So if you plug it into a standard desktop power supply SATA power connector, that has 3.3 volts. If it has the orange wire, that's a 3.3 volt wire.
Yeah, but apparently it's not like it's so cut and dry that every computer that gives it 3.3 volts it won't work in. I think your motherboard also has to support the other end of it.
Oh.
Like it happens over SATA. It's not just a...
So if you get it and it doesn't work, Google around a bit, and you'll be able to make it work.
You could just use a SATA to Molex connector. Buy a high quality one that's cramped and not shitty, because those will set your computer on fire. But obviously Molex doesn't have 3.3 volts, so it can't possibly.
What's up from the forums? And then he said, no Scirocco.
He might as well not even own a Scirocco.
Tulipug, what are you talking about?
He asked you earlier about how your Scirocco is going.
Oh, it's still up on the left. Leaking oil and coolant. Which is why it's on the left and not...
At least the power steering fluid's not leaking.
Don't, it'll hear you.
You have power steering.
It's leaking oil from the low pressure switch. How ironic is that? And it's leaking coolant from a hose that costs $150 on a 20-year-old car.
Sounds like there's a solution there.
It's this crazy molded into a T.
Well, it's not going to get cheaper.
I have one. I have a spare. The reason it's so expensive is because it's a rare part that's hard to come by. And
Hell, it's probably cheaper just to chop up what you find at the auto parts store and use copper tubing for whatever you can.
Yeah. I have a correct replacement hose for it. It means I have to clean out the garage so I can lower the car.
I think you need to clean out the garage regardless so you can use the garage.
Well, there's that. I have the garage about halfway cleared out now.
What, half?
Yeah, half. What half? It's a evenly distributed half.
Okay, that doesn't help.
But it's a homogeneous half, but at least I can move around in half. Can I use HD Tune Pro to figure out which transfer sizes a video game requests? No.
just no.
I mean, it doesn't act as a filter. Like, you can't pass stuff through HD Tune Pro.
Well, and does an application actually request the transfer sizes? It'll say read this buffer, but then the OS chops it up into pages.
Yeah. But I mean, I think he means if he knew what the game was requesting, can you plug it into HD Tune Pro? Sort of. You can give it a transfer size, like a max.
So it's what mimics reality in this.
I think that's what he's going for. If you're trying to mimic stuff, your best bet is iometer. however it's called.
Hmm.
Oh wait, he says it has disk monitor. Oh, they added disk monitor to HD Tune Pro.
Updated HD Tune Pro.
Yeah, they updated HD Tune Pro. Really? I'm shocked. Might have to check it out. I wonder what it's using as the disk monitor, because usually you have to have extra packages installed into Windows to get like correct, like fine-grained, analysis of what IOs are doing.
What's the last release date for HD Tune Pro? If you had to guess.
Release date?
Mhm.
Oh, I have no idea. 4.0 came out like 4 years ago, 5 years
This
ago.
is version 5.7.
Really?
August 4th, 2017.
Look at that. I might have to look at that program again.
Yeah.
It kind of went the way of the dodo for us when we switched over to the new suite, because, we were trying to get it was doing in 4.0
Well, there's a
days.
gap between, it's 2011, 2013, 2015, 2017.
So he came
Release
out of
schedule.
his two winter nap, and then he
Yeah, it was occasionally.
came out with another release again. Gamers Nexus did a thing on that, huh? I'll have to ask Steve about it. See if it's worth toying around with. If it does good monitoring, then yeah, it'd be a useful tool to see what a game was doing.
Yeah.
HD Tune, I don't think is open source.
No. It's not.
Who's asking who if they're coding their own suites for testing? We coded our own suite for testing. What file sizes do games load? Let's see the results. Gee, I can read an article. Like,
Can you?
he's a person that makes YouTube videos, yet also has print. Disclaimer, don't take this too seriously. Wonder why he said that. Maybe because the tool. 4K random versus other.
It's a really tiny chart.
Yeah, it's the Zoom is like, his website is not agreeing with the chart. Oh, yeah, it looks like it gives you a distribution. Watch Dogs did a whole bunch of 4K random. And then Metro did a whole bunch of 32K. What I'd really like to know, which is not here, is like what the transfer size is, or not what the pattern is, if it was sequential or if it was, because Metro might be loading a very large, content file, just like
Yeah.
it's just a package, and its game engine, the engine might just be coded to only do 32K reads, but it might actually be 32K sequential.
And it might be using some kind of storage engine under the hood.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like every game engine or every, actually, it's not even engine specific. Like content loading is usually just like whoever's writing the game makes their own routine.
There's a lot of what is it? Is it Game of Sutra who has the postmortems all the time?
Gamma Sutra.
Yeah. They have a couple of those from way back in the day talking about dealing with slow storage loading and organizing assets on disks sequentially to speed up that hit they take from latency, seek latency.
Yeah. Notice that anything below 4K is pretty much nope. Which is not surprising. I'm actually surprised some of those are higher than 0. Because the cluster size on Windows installs, NTFS, is 4K. So, like, you wouldn't normally access a thing that's smaller than the cluster size of the file system. Oh. How many I/O operations do games perform? See, that's the other thing. Like, there's going to be a whole crapload of... See, there's Metro, 10,000 IOs, 32K. See, that could have just been reading... total transfer was 320 meg. So it could have just read 320 meg worth of data sequentially, or mostly sequentially.
Yeah.
Which is really just going to look more like a...
I mean, if you knew the SSD and you had that running, and you're also like using the Windows performance monitor to look at disk speed, you could figure it out. If it was
Yeah.
sequential or random, pretty easy.
That's true.
Oh, they stuck this in a profiler. That's what happened. So they're actually looking at the raw requests, not actually what the OS is actually doing to the storage.
Is it a filter driver? What is it? What is it?
I don't know. They just said they stuck it on a tracing software. I'm assuming that's some sort of profiler.
HE2 notes median speed in another tab, so you might be able to.
Yeah, it might be getting something from like Performance Monitor, like Windows.
Be interesting to look at a Steam download.
Yeah, it would be. It's nicer to have like a real time kind of like just thing like that.
Yeah.
It just adds it up
As
for you.
opposed to having to run a trace and go back and analyze it. And
Yeah,
all
because
that.
going
Yep.
that's such a pain in the butt. I did some of that for when we worked on our suite for like that mixed burst thing, because it does what looks like a non-standard read. It's doing like 64K sequential.
Yeah.
And or it might be 32K. I don't remember which one it is, but it was not 128 because I, ran a handful of stuff at the time and actually ran traces and had to go line by line through the IOs and like try to figure out, okay, what's the most prevalent transfer size here?
Yeah. And I'm pretty convinced Steam has changed a lot of that stuff in the past couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
I think they made it better.
Yeah.
Parted Magic. Yeah, Parted Magic is good. Wipes SSDs in 10 seconds. Yes, it does. Well, it might take a little longer. Depends on the SSD. It does the old school secure erase to the SSD.
All right. I think that's it for me.
Yep. Probably going to wrap it. Anyway. Filecoin? The hell is that?
Sounds like some cryptocurrency.
Wait,
bullshit.
was that the guys who got hacked with the Route 53 hijack?
I have no idea.
I hope so.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah.
We're
See,
out.
there's no reason for me to still wear headphones because everyone was in the same room as me.
It's true.